theory that all men are created equal. The problem is it doesn't come through in our practice. We believe it up here, but sometimes we forget. We are equal in our created state, we are equal in our fallen state, and we are equal in our redeemed state. So we can't be great. We can, however, achieve greatness. Look what Jesus says in verse 26. He that is greatest among you, let him be as the younger, and he that is chief as he that doth serve. We have seen how all men are equal in essence. I hope that's totally clear by now. Probably bored you to death talking about it. But now, Jesus says that some of us are great and some of us are chief. How can this be? How can we reconcile these two thoughts? The answer is that achieving greatness is through willing subordination. All men are equal, but some men achieve greatness. In the world, this achievement of greatness is by subjecting other men under your authority. Think of all the great men in history. They've all been men who have been in authority over others. That's what Jesus says in verse 25. He says, the kings of the Gentiles exercise lordship over them. That Greek word actually means they lord it over. They lord it over them. And the word lord means owner. You see, these kind of great men feel that the people under them are actually their property. I am the master, they are the slave. Verse 25 continues, Jesus says, and they that exercise authority upon them are called benefactors. In those days, there were worldly kings who actually gave themselves the title of benefactor. This title was not bestowed upon them by the love of their subjects, but they gave it to themselves. And the idea was they saw themselves as the benefactor of the people. They saw the people under them as helpless, and they themselves were the Savior. And this is true of the world in all ages. The world sees themselves as superior to others. They might not say so. That wouldn't be very politically correct to say, oh, I'm greater than you. But, you know, we know that this paradigm, this attitude exists. In spite of the fact that all men are created equal, some men actually see themselves as having more rights than others. Some men have all confidence in themselves and no confidence in anyone else. They see themselves as owners and other people as their property. But in heaven, greatness is achieved through willing subjection to others. Jesus says in verse 26, but ye shall not be so. Those who are redeemed shall not be like the world. The world has its ways, and heaven has its ways. But he that is greatest among you, let him be as the younger, and he that is chief as he that doth serve. In the world, men give themselves titles. In the kingdom of heaven, men are known by the title of servant. In the world, great men exercise an attitude of ownership. In the kingdom of heaven, great men believe that they themselves are the slave to others. In the world, great men see themselves as being superior to others. But in the kingdom of heaven, great men see themselves as inferior to others. In the world, great men lead by oppression. In the kingdom of heaven, great men lead by service. And this greatness of willing subordination to others is exemplified in Jesus Christ. Verse 27 says, for whether is greater, he that sitteth at meat or he that serveth? Is not he that sitteth at meat? But I am among you as he that serveth. If you saw a man sitting at the table, and he was being fed the food, you would assume that he was the master and the man serving him was less, greater and less. Especially in that culture in those days. Maybe a little bit different here in America, which is a largely Christianized situation. But in those parts of the world, it's still true. But Jesus says, I am among you as he that serveth. He is both God and man in the same person. In his essence, he is greater than every other man. He's the only one who is greater in his very essence. And yet he comes as a servant. Jesus Christ is proof that greatness is achieved through service. And this greatness is to be strived for. It's not optional. Notice that Jesus does not rebuke the apostles for seeking to achieve greatness. He rebukes them for seeking to achieve worldly greatness. Nothing wrong with greatness in and of itself. He says, but ye shall not be so. But he that is greatest among you, let him be as the younger. See, he tells them to strive for greatness. Sure, go ahead. Be great. This is how you're going to do it. You're going to be great by being less. And this willing subordination results in true greatness. Those who willingly subordinate themselves to others shall be glorified in heaven. Jesus goes on in verse 28. He says, Ye are they which have continued with me in my temptations, and I appoint unto you a kingdom, as my Father hath appointed unto me, that ye may eat and drink at my table in my kingdom, and sit on thrones judging the 12 tribes of Israel. Those who continue to serve in spite of temptations shall be glorified in heaven. Your greatness may not be recognized in this lifetime. In fact, you may pass into obscurity 30 minutes after you die. But you will be great in the kingdom of heaven. So let me just give you some applications of all this then. What do we do with this information? First of all, I want you all to know that if you are not united with Christ by faith, you remain equally under the curse with the rest of unredeemed mankind. The fact that you go to church, the fact that you tithe, the fact that you have been baptized, the fact that you have an NOTW bumper sticker on your car does not change the fact that you are a fallen individual and you are under God's wrath. The fact that you are God's image bearer provides no protection from the punishment for sin that you deserve. You must cast your soul upon Jesus Christ and allow him to be your servant in redemption. Now, secondly, I want you to notice how easy it is for good people to lord it over others. Among whom was this strife that we're told about in this passage? The apostles themselves. The apostles at this point are not slouches. They've been taught by Jesus for 3 years. They're coming to the end. He says himself in verse 28, Ye are they which have continued with me in my temptations. Remember, they left all and followed Christ. You see how quickly they seek to make themselves greater and others less. And if the apostles fell into strife so quickly, what hope do you and I have? Never let yourself believe that you are such a mature Christian that it is incapable for you to fall into the same kind of strife. Because the heart of pride exists in all of us. Now, thirdly, I want to encourage you that the world does take notice of heavenly greatness. As much as the world might look down upon